Hello, everyone, and welcome back as we are just rolling on through our top 100 games of all time. If you haven't checked out the previous portions of this list, be sure to go and check those out. But now we are up to doing our 60 through 51 favorite games of all time. So, who went first last time?
Did I?
I think you did. So who started going first?
You started first.
Okay, so yeah, it's me because this is part 5. So I'm gonna start us off with our 60 through 51, and my number 60 favorite game of all time is another one that we've had for a very long time. It actually won the Spiel des Jahres in the year 2002. It also won lots of other awards and was one of the first games I ever saw that got a Mensa Select. And it is the game Locus. Now, I've often described this game as being like Tetris, the board game, because you are placing these Tetris-looking pieces and moving them from one corner of the board to the opposite corner. You can play up to 4 players, and I like this best at either 4 or 2 players. And I love the puzzly nature and the sort of it's almost like a bit of a spatial awareness that you really need to have to do well at Locus, as you are trying to get the most of your pieces out on the board, but you can only connect your own pieces corner to corner. So you have to like leave yourself out by placing pieces where they fill into an area where you can go past your opponent's pieces corner to corner and get into their side of the board. This is a great game. I really enjoy this one.
I think this should be on my list.
Oh yeah. Oh, spoilers.
I don't know where. But
So that was my number 60. Locus.
My number 60 is Fantasy. It's like Yahtzee.
Well,
but with card, it's different. You have to use the dice to put out heroes and well, they're not all heroes. Some of them just creatures and
you make a party to fight the monsters.
Yeah, you make a party and then you have to defeat the monsters.
And to activate a hero, they'll have specific dice that you'll need. And when you roll the dice, it's a press your luck dice element to get the sets of dice to activate the hero to let them attack the monsters.
Yeah, and there are combinations you can do if you have certain heroes in your party. So it's fun rolling dice. Yeah,
this is a great game. But this is yet another press your luck dice game. It's got other elements to it. That's probably the most advanced press your luck dice game of the ones you've had on your list so far. But I think, what is that, number 4? Is that
I think so.
You've had a lot of press your luck dice games. You really do like press your luck dice games. That is fair. Okay. So my number 59 is a hidden movement deduction game that is really meant to be played at either 2 or 4 players, and that is Sonar. This game is crazy fun. You have people sitting on opposite sides of the table. It's really good. I like it best at 4, where you have one player as the captain, the other player on your team is the sonar operator, and the captain calls out what the submarine does. Well, the sonar operator will write down what the other team's submarine does, because you're trying to find them and shoot them with your torpedoes and be the first team to sink the opponent team's submarine. And this is a fairly rules-light game, but that really thematically represents that whole, submarine battle where you're moving around and trying to move quietly and trying to not have your opponent's submarine find you. It really, I think, is a very thematic representation of submarine warfare, and yet in a fairly rules-light package. And I really like this. Lynn started liking this, but this has kind of gone down for you, and I'm pretty sure it's not on your list.
Yeah, it's not on my list.
But when we first played it, you kind of dug it. You thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Did it just wear out its welcome for you?
It did.
I still like it. I hope that you will sometimes play it with me in the future, because I do enjoy that one. But that is my number 59.
My number 59 is Mystic Vale.
Oh, it's a great game.
They have large tarot-sized cards, and you make different cards because they're see-through. And
And they all go in like these see-through sleeves.
It's really hard to explain, but on the back you can see like the cards are clear plastic and you can stack them. So different, I think up to 3 cards.
Yeah, up to 3 cards per sleeve.
You can see all the things on the cards because they're clear.
It plays a lot like a deck builder.
Yeah, and it's basically if you play, well, it's 2 to 4 players, but you're basically just playing a solitaire game
with other players.
Where the only interaction that you have is buying the cards, where someone might buy a card you were wanting to buy. But I mean, like, half the time you're all doing the stuff at the same time. You all flipping over your cards at the same time, and it's not really.
You know what's funny?
What?
So this is a combination deck builder, press your luck game. Now, it's not a press your luck dice game, but this is another press your luck game that's on your list. You really like that press your luck element, don't you? Do you really like the press your luck in this?
I do.
You really enjoy that. I don't think I ever realized exactly how much you like press your luck.
I don't think I realized either until now.
Until we made these lists.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, because I was going to say that's like the 5th game with press your luck elements that you have had on your top 100 so far. Okay, so that was your number 58. Now, my number 58 is a game that you already had on a previous section of your list, and is one that we've both enjoyed quite a bit. It was one of the earlier worker placement games that we had in our collection, and it is Lords of Waterdeep. Now, you had it on your list earlier. Mm-hmm. I had the other of the 2 first big worker placement games that we really got, which was Manhattan Project earlier on my list. But I like Lords of Waterdeep better than I like Manhattan Project. This is a bigger game for me. I really enjoy the different kinds of workers and how there's different combinations of them. Because in this, the workers are really supposed to be like adventurers. And they're supposed to be like classic Dungeons and Dragons style adventurers, like rogues and wizards and fighters. And you put them together to solve the different problems, which then get you points. And yeah, this is a great game. I think this one holds up. It just, again, it doesn't hit the table as much as it used to, only because of the large number of newer worker placement games we've gotten. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I still really like it. And this one has earned basically probably a semi-permanent spot in our collection for me. And that was my number...
Should be 58, right?
Yes, 58. Lords of Vegas.
My number 58, you've already mentioned.
Yes.
It's Near and Far. I do like this game.
You played it really cool when I mentioned this. Did you just not want to give away that it was higher on your list?
No, I didn't. Because I honestly didn't think that I was going to rate it higher than you.
And you did.
Well...
You had a couple complaints about it.
The things... I want to say the things I like first.
Okay.
The things I like is...
the Euroness?
The storybook game of it. I like the stories. I like that it's not really a legacy game, but you can...
As a campaign.
It has a campaign where things you've done in past games can affect future games. Because that has... I mean, some people go through the entire campaign and their keywords never come up, but my keywords have actually come up multiple times.
Yes.
So I guess that might be different for other people who the other thing happened to, but... One of my complaints is that there's not enough story in it, and that the story is not the main part. Like, you can pretty much...
You can win without the story.
You can win without the story. You can play an entire game without going into the story.
But then you don't get the experience if you're doing a campaign. The story's very important for a campaign,
for something that calls itself a storybook game, it should have a bit more story to it, in my opinion.
But that being said, you like this game a lot.
I do.
Is it... Well, I mean, it's got work...
Begrudgingly.
But, okay, you like the adventuring.
Yes.
You like the storybook. And you like the worker placement aspect. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just... There's a lot of mechanics in here that you enjoy.
Yeah. I just think there should be more story.
But, like, that...
And because the thing is that it's... The game... I've never played a game of this where I was ready for it to end. There were more story tiles on the board, and I wanted to do all the story tiles. And then you get rid of your tents too quick.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I win at this game. But obviously you like it enough that it was your what number
58?
Was that your number 58?
Yes.
So you obviously like it enough that it was your number 58 game of all time. That's pretty high. So my number 57 game of all time is Behind the Throne. Yet another game with, now this is on my list, mind you, but with some press your luck elements. Now this is like a...
I think it's on mine.
Oh, you love those press your luck games. This is a press your luck set collecting game where if you have the most of a particular card, you get a special power that you can use for having the most of it. It's a fairly easy to learn game, but it's another game by the same design pair that did the game Mysterium that we like a lot. And I really like this game. I like the artwork. I like the set collecting. I like the powers. I like the press your luck. This is just a really fun game. And that's Behind the Throne. Behind the Throne is my number 57 favorite game of all time.
My number 57 is Patrician.
Oh, awesome game. Awesome game.
You're playing cards in different cities around Italy to build towers. And there's also a set collecting element in the cards that you play. Because at the end of the game, it's like every three portraits you have is an extra set of points. I think it's like 6 points or something.
Yeah, which can be a big thing actually. That can swing the game.
Yeah, so you wanna play in a city that will get you points for the tower, but you also wanna look at what card you're gonna pick up, because each city has a face-up card, and if you place in that city, you get that card.
And you also play a level on one of the towers. Yes. And if you have the most in that level of the tower, you get the points for that tower.
And so there's a lot of, that tower will make me get that amount of points at the end of the game, but playing in this other city will get me this awesome card, and
it's very cool.
Yeah.
This is a game that we have played a lot of, and I don't think I have ever played it once where we didn't have a good time. This is a really good game. Very enjoyable. Great choice. Great choice for the list. So my number 56 is a game that surprised the heck out of me because it looked boring as hell. And I didn't think I was going to like it. And then we played it, and I was immediately like, oh my god, this game is awesome. And that is Murano, which is upside down. And Murano is, it says it's supposed to be about glass blowing in Venice, but it's really about city building. Mm-hmm. There is some mechanics about the glass blowers. There are these different shops where you can build them as you're building the city, and there's an interesting thing where you get points based on the customers that are walking around on that particular island if you have shops of the same color as the customer. But it's much more about the city building, and it's also got a giant rondel around the outside of the board. And this is a Euro game that is very puzzly and very cool, and I love moving the gondolas around the giant rondel, and I love building up the city, getting the right color buildings for the right customers, and it's just it's one of those where you get to build something. And I love it. I think it's a fantastic game. And
the rule book is,
it's very dry.
The rule book is very easy because all it is you move on the rondel. You get to move like a space or something, and so the rule book is just the different spaces on the rondel and what they mean. Like, there's no real I
do think the rule book's a bit dry though. It could have been a little better, but the game itself is great. Okay. And this is because I picked this game. I obviously love this game. I'm just saying that I had some issues with the rondel. This is one I would really like to see Asmodee do a reprinting of and improve on the look of the box, the look of the game, and the rule book. But otherwise, the mechanics don't need adjustment at all. The mechanics are fantastic.
Well, I have problems reading rule books. That's why you generally read them.
So you just disagree with me.
I found that rule book like so easy. Oh, like that's a rule book that's made for my brain.
Maybe that's why I had problems. It's not made for my brain.
Okay, so my number 56 is Andromeda. I think you talked about this, right?
I did. I like this game a lot.
Yeah,
but you like it more than me.
I like well, it's also we only played the one time, but
yeah, we haven't played it enough to review it, but it immediately jumped up on my list. I want to play this more.
technologies change every game, except I think the teleporter is the one that stays the same.
Yeah, the technologies change, and there's asymmetrical player powers which are randomized.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is, it's going to be different every time. We've only played the once, but the one time I played it, I really liked it. And
I want to play this more. I do.
It was fun, putting my little dudes on the
areas to get the objectives.
Yeah.
This is one, we need to play it more, and we need to review this one, but so far, I've really liked it, and I don't see me going down. I might go up on this. Because it was very enjoyable. I really liked the roll dice and the ice split, and I give you the option, do you want this group of dice? No. Then the next person, do you want this group of dice? And none of them take it, then you take it back yourself. Really, really cool mechanics. I agree with you. So my number 55 favorite game of all time is a very interesting card game that you purchased because of your love of everything themed Alice in Wonderland. And then this has been a game that really hits our table a lot. And it is Parade. Now, in Parade, you line up a group of cards that are like a draw next to the deck, and you don't want to have to get those cards. So you play a card every turn from your hand into the Parade, and the number of the card you played, that many cards you don't have to take. After that, you have to take cards if they're either the same suit as the card you played, or the number or less of the card you played. And those you take and you score them right in front of you, and you start collecting a tableau of them. And then at the end of the game, each of them is worth the number of points on the card, unless you have the most of that suit of card, in which case you flip them face down and they're only worth 1 point each. So you don't want any cards unless you already got cards, and then you want the most of that suit. And the person with the least points wins. It's a great game. I mean, this is just... I'm almost certain this is going to be higher on your list. Okay, I'm calling that one right. Yeah.
Okay. So my number 55 is also a game that you've talked about before, Yamatai.
And I didn't realize you liked this more than me.
I guess I didn't realize it either.
Wow, okay.
I like how you have to place the little boats. It's sort of puzzly.
Yeah, it is.
And then I also like the option where you can either put a house, or you can take those tiles and do stuff with them. There's always options.
There's lots of different options, yeah.
It's never just like place some boats and then you don't have options.
No, there are different things you can do. There's different strategies you can do. Even with building stuff, you can either build houses or you can build palaces or those archways. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff you can do in this game. This is a very fun game. I definitely agree with your choice. Obviously, because it was already on my list. I'm just a little surprised that it was higher on your list than it was on my list. So, my number 54 favorite game of all time is Ethnos. Now, we had previously talked about, I had on my list much earlier, the game Jericho. Now, Jericho I talked about is a very bizarre mixture of game mechanics in that Jericho is a combination of trick-taking with area control. And I really love how those bizarre mechanics that don't sound like they should fit together do. And this one is a similar sort of situation. This one is set collection with area control, where you're doing a bit of hand management and trying to collect sets of cards that then you place down in a similar way to the classic game of Romy 500, where when you got 3 of a kind or a straight, you just place it on the table. But those cards you place then allow you to place tokens in different areas on the map to try to control those areas. Which is really weird, and it doesn't sound like it should work, but it does, and I really like this game. And that is... Now, you're not a big fan of Ethnos.
I like the colors of the pieces.
But you're not a big fan of the game.
No.
So that is my number 54 favorite game of all time, Ethnos.
My number 54 is Oath of the Brotherhood.
Indeed.
It is a worker placement game. Mainly, you can affect other player with it's like the barrel of gunpowder or something, but it doesn't come up.
You can also rob each other.
Yeah, you can rob each other. Yeah,
thing.
There is a little bit of player interaction.
There is.
But it's not much. And one of the things that I really like about it is how you get extra spots.
On the board.
On the board. There's a spot you can go where you get a card that will have it'll basically be another spot.
Yeah.
And then you just find the place on the board where the card goes. Just using,
the artwork fits in seamlessly.
Yeah, using the artwork to figure out where it goes, and then all of a sudden you have a new spot you can go. One game I had my personal goal for the game was not to actually win. It was to get out all those cards, and I did manage to do it. I just kept going to that spot whenever I could to get a new area.
Yeah. And it adds a lot more variability to what you can do on the board. No, that is Oath of the Brotherhood's a really fun game. I like it a lot too. So my number 53 is a game that if it's not higher on Lynn's list, I'm going to call shenanigans, as well as the fact that it's very interesting because there's a new edition of it coming out where they've changed what some of the pieces do, and I'm curious to take a closer look at that. You fear change, huh?
Yeah.
But that game is The Duke, a game that we have played quite a bit. It's an abstract strategy game with square wooden pieces that show you on them how they move, and every time they move, they flip over and change how they move, but otherwise plays quite a bit like games like chess. This is a great game. I love this game a lot. I'm going to have to check out the new edition, and I know you have to have this one higher on yours because you like it so much. There's not even a remote chance it's not.
My number 53 we're on, right? Yes.
I think so, yeah.
My number 53 is Gothic Doctor.
No, I mentioned this one a lot earlier.
You did. So I'm just, well, I guess it's a different video. You're a doctor in a fictional Victorian universe where monsters are real.
Basically all the literary characters from like...
Yeah, and you're trying to cure them. So there are things like garlic and fang extraction to cure the vampires.
And a shave to cure the werewolf.
Yeah, they're all sort of funny.
Yeah.
And it's hand management and playing cards to cure them, and then each monster is worth a number of points.
The more things they need to cure them, the more points they
yeah.
That's a really fun game. Obviously, since it was already on my list, I agree with your choice. No doubt. That is a really fun game. Now, my number 52 favorite game of all time is a game that Lynn has already mentioned. A game from the same series of. Not this particular game, but I can almost, again, this is one where I'm like, it's got to be on Lynn's list. I'm almost positive it'll be higher on Lynn's list. And that game is The Pillars of the Earth. Now, Lynn mentioned in a previous...
Column of Fire.
Yes, Column of Fire. Now, Column of Fire didn't quite make my list. I like Pillars of the Earth better, which is part of why I think it's going to be higher on Lynn's list. This is a early worker placement game where the worker placement is not quite what we think of it today, where you place the workers out and then they collect for you later, which was sort of like where worker placement kind of started out before it became now, where you just place and get. But this is a really well done game. It has a little rudimentary rondel, and it has a really cool mechanic for keeping track of the turns where you slowly are building the church up, and every turn a different player takes a piece of the church and keeps it in front of them like the first player token, and at the end of that turn they put it out there and the church slowly gets built on the board. This is a great game. This is a really, really fun Euro, and definitely a great part of our collection. I like this one a lot. And that is why it is my number 52 on my favorite games, my 100 favorite games of all time.
My number 52 is Five Tribes.
Oh, I love this game. I do love this game.
It's really fun trying to figure out the best move to make while also kind of leaving nothing for the next person.
But it's also almost impossible to leave nothing for them.
It's pretty much impossible to leave nothing.
But you try to leave the least, you know?
Yeah. And it's really fun when you see like this epic move to make and no one else sees it and no one else does anything that messes it up.
Yeah.
So then you can just, do it on your turn. And there's set collecting in it with the
you use
marketplace.
Yes, you use them on Kala aspect to move around, and then you collect sets of the meeples to do different effects, and also collect sets of the the items from the marketplace to get different points at the end. There's like 10 different ways to get points in this game. This is definitely what they call a point salad.
Yes.
But it's really done right. I think that's a fantastic choice. Now, my number 51 favorite game of all time is a game that Lynn already mentioned in this section, and that is Oath of the Brotherhood. Now, this game is not without issues. There are some problems with this game. But those problems are thoroughly overshadowed by just how awesome this is. This is a game where you do worker placement to collect resources to buy victory points. But while you have those resources, all of the resources you collect give you special abilities. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that having the cutlass or having the flintlock or having the first mate or having the barrel of gunpowder are things you can use, and you get torn between, am I going to use them right now to buy that victory point card, or do I want to hold on to them because I might want to use its special ability this turn? And that's awesome. And I really, really, really love Oath of the Brotherhood. It's even higher on my list than it was on yours, though very close.
Yeah.
We're in the same 10-game block. So there you have it.
I forgot. My 51.
Oh, I went first.
You did.
I'm sorry. I forgot. Because we're going back and forth with switching who goes first.
My 51 is Guildhall.
Which I did mention earlier.
You've already mentioned. I enjoy the set collecting. I think it's fun that the more of a certain type of card you have, the better the ability that you can choose to do the best ability, or you can choose to do lesser ones if you want to. There are reasons you would want to do lesser ones. But yeah, it's fun, and I enjoy it.
This is a great set collector. Mm-hmm. It is a great set collecting card game. So there you have it. That is Lynn and my numbers 60 through 51 on our top 100 games of all time list. And we are rolling right along. So stay tuned for our next installment where we are going to do our 50 through 41. And if you have been enjoying and liking our choices, be sure to comment down below and tell us which ones you agree with, which choices you think were really great inclusions, or which ones you disagree with. And if you have been enjoying this list of videos, be sure to give it a like. Share it on any social media you may have. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain. That's Kaptain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.